Hey folks, it's time for Frugal Prepper. I want to talk a little bit about this gun. This is my Ruger LCP2. It's in 22. I just got done shooting it here, and I'm going to go ahead and clean it. I'm going to tell you how I like this gun after carrying it and shooting it for almost 3 months. Some of the good, some of the bad, what I've been through with it. So let's go ahead and make the weapon clear here first. The one thing about this gun is when you rack the slide, it just will not eject a round out the top. It always drops it down through the magazine well, but when it fires, it seems to shoot them back out the top just fine. This gun has the external safety on it, unlike the real LCP2 380. Does not have an external safety. As far as I know, they don't make this gun without an external safety, which is fine. I'm a left-handed shooter, so I'm going to have to reach up here and hit the safety, or reach up here and hit the safety. It's probably safe to carry this with no safety on it. I just go ahead, when I have a gun that has a safety, I typically use the external safety. It's a good shooting gun. There's a couple things that you're going to need to know about this gun, though. At least my particular one is it will short cycle, right? Even with the most powerful rounds, and we'll get into the ammunition that I carry, it'll still short cycle sometimes. And so what I've had to learn is that even though this is a tiny gun with very little recoil, you still have to hold on to it pretty tight to get it to have enough power to get that slide all the way back anytime. So that's taken a little bit of getting used to, even shooting a more weakly powered gun, having to remember to hold on to it like it's a 357 Magnum Snubby or something. You really gotta get a good grip on it. I had some problems with this gun. It started jamming constantly. And it started having this issue where the magazine lock would come up and it would lock, and there would still be rounds in the magazine and it would be locked. And at first I thought it was just the round jamming, and I'd rack the slide and it'd go back into battery, but then I just started hitting the slide release and I'm like, oh. And it also started having failures to eject the whole spent casing. And then it would try to feed the next round in there, and you get like a double feed on an empty case. I sent it back to Ruger. They replaced the barrel and they adjusted a few other things, and since then it seems to work a lot better. The issue with this gun is that I've had to really step up my cleaning regimen from most guns. I have to keep it very clean, and I have to put just like 3 drops of oil, 3 little tiny drops of oil on my little tiny Hoppies gun oil thing down the slide after I clean it. I can't just do my normal wash it off in the sink thing with this. It just needs to be cleaned better than that. It gets dirty and it just starts to malfunction. I've seen other people with these on YouTube that have run 1,000 rounds through them and never cleaned them. That just hasn't been the case with mine. So that's the thing. It is picky about ammo. So the 2 types of ammo I've found that run the best in mine are this Aguila 38 Super. This is just the best all-around ammunition for this gun. Number 1 for function and reliability. These Federal Defense punches are what I carry though, and these work well. They make a much louder pop, but with the lighter rounds, you really have to focus on holding onto this gun tight to get it to cycle all the way. But they will function fine as long as you hold onto the gun tight. If not, it might not cycle that slide back all the way. Now, also shooting this left-handed, I was thinking that maybe I was hitting the slide somehow, but really you can see my fingers well clear of that when I'm shooting. And so, my normal shooting grip is something like this. I normally put my finger up here on the trigger guard just to give it some extra support. But this gun doesn't have much for sights, but they are sufficient for an up-close and personal kind of a gun. I mean, they will get the job done. but they're not the world's best sights. I wish they would make this like they have in the 380. They have the LCP Max, which has the bigger sights, and they're removable. I wish they'd make this in a Max. That would be awesome. Just a little bit bigger of a gun with a little bit bigger sights. But it is what it is. You know, you can never get everything perfect in a small pocket gun. I do have an extra magazine that I bought separate on Ruger's site. It came with a coupon to get like 15 or 20% off of your first order on Ruger.com. So I went to Ruger.com and I ordered one of these magazines. These things are like 40 bucks, like $38 or something. But I want genuine factory magazines on my carry guns. If I'm getting some range training mags, I don't really have a problem with getting some cheaper ones. But it's just been my experience that a lot of aftermarket magazines aren't the greatest. I just carry this like so, and I actually leave this clipped on the outside of my belt. So, you know, I'm here and it's clipped down my belt, and this kind of hides what it is, and then I can pull that out and insert it into the gun. I carry this DeSantis pocket holster. I'm trying to see if it says what kind it is on here. It says it's an O2 P6 DeSantis something or another, made in the USA. But they have these on Amazon, and they're really cheap. They were like 18 bucks free shipping, because they're left-handed ones, and nobody wants a left-handed one. I happen to be left-handed, so it's perfect for me. Now, I had problems when I was carrying this where the mag release would get pushed, and I would go to tip my gun out and my mag would be hanging part way out. So I just took my drill and just kind of drilled a hole right there around the magazine release. So when it's in there, that magazine release is kind of covered up now, or kind of uncovered, I guess. And now it does not do that anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. This really helps break up the gun, makes it look like you got a wallet or an iPhone or something in your pocket. Really kind of helps break it up, and you know, people don't realize what you're carrying. I am a person who pocket carries because I like the concealment of it. I like the convenience of it. I like having a gun on me, and anytime I go to any type of inside or outside the waistband holster with a bigger gun, it just gets hard carrying that chunk of iron around all day, and it gets uncomfortable, and eventually I end up not carrying it. So I'd rather carry a smaller gun, and you could carry this in a 380. That would be a more effective caliber, certainly. It's just that 380s were getting really hard to find and really expensive, and I can afford to shoot this a lot. Even these are only $10 for a box of 50, and you can always get these. Federal ships these direct from their website, and they always keep these in stock. So I've had to wait like up to 3 weeks to get a box, but you know, you can just go and buy 500 rounds, and that's you know, what, $100 or something, and plus there's some shipping. They charge some shipping, so you're better off to order more ammo at a time, because the shipping's about the same price. And when you get like over $175 worth, then it's free shipping, I believe. These are a 29 grain. These pack a much harder punch. So just so you can see, well, let me get another one out. Just so you can see, these are an all nickel plated bullet and casing. It's a 29 grain round. They are much louder than like the Aquila. They pack a much bigger flash than the Aquila. Now these are 10,070 feet muzzle velocity, and you're thinking like 10,070 feet, that's nothing, because this one's 1,280 feet. The difference is this is rated out of like a short barreled rifle. I think it's rated out of a 2.5 inch barrel to go 10,070 feet per second. This one is rated out of a 16-inch rifle, right? So that's the difference. This bullet's moving much slower coming out of that short barrel than this bullet is. And these are not a hollow point. There, if you can see that, they're just a little flat nose bullet. And they seem to do the job really well. They seem plenty powerful enough for a 22. They're reliable, they fire well. Every once in a while on the Aquilas, I'll get a light primer strike. I have not gotten a light primer strike on any of these Federals yet, or a failed primer strike, a failed rim strike. This gun does have a tendency on bulk ammunition and cheap ammunition to just not always reliably rim fire. Like it has a very small spot where it impacts the rim of the bullet. Unlike most 22s, will strike a bigger spot. Like on my 1022 or my SR22, it's got a much bigger spot. This has a much smaller firing pin, and I think that's why it sometimes doesn't fire these. Usually you feed them in a second time and it fires. But these Federals, they've gone off every time. So, you know, these are definitely, I think, the perfect bullet for this gun if you're going to carry it for self-defense. Now let's talk about carrying this gun for self-defense. There's one thing that you're going to have to do, and that is going to be clean it very often. Once a week, even if you don't shoot it, you're going to have to go and clean the pocket length out of this guy. So we pull that pin, slide that off, and what you'll notice when you first get this gun out is one of the first things you're going to notice is this will fill up with pocket lint right in here. And I carried it for like a month and a half without cleaning it, and it was so packed with lint that it would not engage the firing pin and fire. All right, so you know, at the very least, you're gonna have to take it apart once in a while and just blow her out with some compressed air like so. Get it down here in the trigger, get back here by the hammer, and then make sure it's still well oiled here, and then put it back together. If you're going to carry this thing collects pocket lint like you would not believe, right? And it will stop the function of the gun. As far as every time I shoot it now, I clean it. This gun runs much more reliably with much fewer failures if you do clean it regularly. So just my, you know, quick cleaning. I'm just going to do it here while I'm talking. I'm just, you know, going to use a little bit of Hoppy's number 9. Normally I wash my carry guns off in the sink. I've just found that's not a good option with this gun. It really wants to be cleaned better. So we'll just start by scrubbing the bore down a little, like so, with a brush. And then I'll let that set. And this doesn't need much cleaning. I just have this old diaper here. I just wipe that off. Kind of wipe the spring off. And then what I'm going to do is switch over to my bigger, like my 9mm or my 40 cal brush, just to get down in here and scrub some other stuff. You could probably use like a toothbrush or something for this too. But I'll just come down in here and I'm just going to clean kind of down here into the magazine well. I'll clean this. And then I'm going to clean the slide rails out really well too. Make sure those are all clean. And this is the cleaning that I pretty much do once a week. Probably a couple times a week I will blow it out with some compressed air too to make sure there's no pocket lint in it, because you don't want pocket lint to hit it. Now what you got to do is insert your magazine. You can do this unloaded if you want, but there's no firing pin to hit the bullet. So I just want to discharge that hammer like so. It's got a magazine release, that's why you have to put the magazine in it. And the safety will not re-engage with the firing pin up. But I want to get the little brush again and just clean out back here behind this firing pin. Or this hammer, I mean. I'll let that sit and let that solvent go to work. And then we're just gonna take and clean all this out really good down in here. Make sure there's no lint. And you really want to clean your rails out that go on your slide here. or your grooves that go on your slide rails, I should say. And then I'll just clean right around the front here a little too. Get that powder residue off of it. That don't really matter though. And like I said, I don't normally clean my carry guns this well. But this one certainly has run better when it's nice and clean. So I do that. I also get down in here around this magazine slide. Now this is important. If you get any dirt down in here, you really have to keep this clean where the little groove grabs the side of the casing. So I really like to go down in there with the brush and clean that out very, very well. And clean the spot where the bullet slides up really well. Because if this gets dirty, it'll start not grabbing the casings and ejecting them completely. So this gun has taken a lot more maintenance to keep it firing well. And then I'm basically just going to take and kind of clean this all out with the diaper here. And I'll kind of take my knife and work it down into the grooves. And basically I'm just going to wipe this all off too. Make sure I wipe off here behind the trigger and everything. And we'll wipe off behind this hammer first. And we're just going to put this back on so that we can put the hammer back down. Put that safety back on. And just kind of slide this up into the magazine well. Kind of clean that. Slide it down into the magazine well. Kind of clean that. And then I want to make sure I clean these grooves out really well. It's really important to keep these slide rails and grooves cleaned really well, because when they get dirty, it really affects the ability of that slide to come completely back and load the next round. Quite a bit. So now I'll just go ahead and wipe off the outside of this barrel. Again, I want to make sure that this facing where the bullet sits, it's really good and clean. That's just important to keep those bullets sliding in and out perfectly. It gets any dirt in there, it starts to malfunction. This is a much more finicky gun than any other rigger I've ever owned. Now that's clean. Now we'll just put our barrel back in. Oh. And now I'm just gonna put my pen back in. This does have a steel pen, which is kind of nice. It's a well-made gun. I mean, you can tell they really put some thought into it. But yeah, it's a little different. So that slides on there like so, but what we want to do is put three small drops of oil down here on the slide rail. So I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3. And normally I just do 1 drop on most guns. See, that one's still got some crud in it. Let me clean that out really well. There we go. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. I'll put that back on there. Is it really good? And then we just got to put our pen back in, and you just push it forward just a little bit. Slide your pen in there. and you're good to go. I'll give it a final kind of wipe off here before I load one in the chamber. Make sure the safety's on. Put my 11th round back in. And we're good to go. I do clean the magazines out every so often when I shoot. I take those apart and clean them too. But we'll just do that, you know, just to make sure there's nothing in there. Kind of blow out behind the hammer area here. Oh, looks good. So that's what I do to keep her firing reliably. And I got some hoppies on my holster too. And then I'll also take and blow the length out of my holster as well. And, you know, she's good to go. That's pretty much how I have to do my maintenance on this guy. But other than, I mean, it's finicky. It's finicky with the rounds that it takes. But these Federal Defense punches seem to work well with this gun. I think if you're going to carry a 22, this is a good option. It'd be better to step it up to a 380, sure, but it's going to cost you a lot more to shoot it, you know. So make sure you can shoot it well. And this is a fun gun to shoot. It really is. You can shoot it all day long. It doesn't tear up your hands. It's cheap to shoot. You can certainly shoot some bulk pack, and you'll get good at clearing the malfunctions on it. You know, it's a good little gun. It really is, and I'm pretty happy with it. But just remember that the main things are going to be keep it clean and hold on to it really tight when you shoot it so that it'll get a full cycle. It cycles better with a heavier bullet. These are only a 29 grain, so they have a lot more powder and a lighter bullet to get it moving faster. I think these are a better option for self-defense, but you do have to hold on to it pretty tight. You might be able to get a lighter recoil spring aftermarket for this or something that would help take care of some of that. I don't know. I normally just carry guns in their factory configuration if at all possible, just because I don't want to change out a recoil spring and then end up in front of a judge sometime with the defense trying to explain how I made a massive killing machine by lightening a recoil spring or something. You know, they will try anything they can to crucify you in a court of law if you choose to defend yourself these days. So I try not to give them any reason to, not to give them any ammunition to use against me. But that's all I got, folks. I'm really happy with this. I'm guessing I probably have a few thousand rounds through it now. I've ran several, well, not several, I ran 3 or 4 500 round bulk packs through it. And I ran one of these through it, and I've run a bunch of 50 round packs of different stuff through it. So I'm definitely around the 3,000 round mark. It went back to Ruger around 800 or 900 rounds, you know, and got fixed. And Ruger has a really fast turnaround time. It wasn't like dealing with Taurus where you're waiting like 3 months to get your gun back. I sent this to them. I shipped it out on a Friday. I had it back the following Wednesday. That's pretty darn good, you know, in my book. So, and that was over the holidays, over Christmas, I think. Christmas was right around that time. So I got it back pretty darn quick, and they did a really good job fixing it. And they're in North Carolina. I believe their guns are all made in the USA. I believe this will say where it was made. Well, it says it's USA, Ruger something, Montana, but it went to North Carolina to get repaired. So I don't know what it is, but it's been a good gun for me. It's definitely an option to carry. 22 is not a terrible round to carry, like a lot of people say. If you can shoot it, you know, my only goal in self-defense is if I get attacked is to break contact with the person. This is a break contact gun. If you're law enforcement, you're military, you don't want this gun. You want a bigger gun. But if you're just a citizen trying to defend themselves and break contact if something bad happens, I think this is a fine choice. Yeah, sure, a 380, a 9mm is better. 380, you're going to get less shots. But, you know, You just have to kind of find that balance that you're willing to live with, to where you will carry a gun every single day. And this small gun is that balance for me. So I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, your frugal prepper. Here's a little question for y'all. How many of you all caught what I forgot to do? I forgot to wipe the barrel. I'm just gonna stick them down the front here, I think, if I can, rather than take it all the way back apart. But yeah, I definitely, it's not gonna go down the front right. I definitely forgot that. I'm wondering how many people are gonna leave a comment before they see the end of the video here. Be like, you forgot to wipe the barrel. Oh my god, the hobbies is staying in your barrel. It's gonna corrode it and ruin it. There we go. But there we go. I was just cleaning up and I found my 2 patches laying out. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to wipe down the barrel. Forgot to wipe all this stuff out. There we go. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tommy Frugal Prepper.